you kind of give the impression, which I think is something I would definitely believe, that the training you get and the social reinforcement you get as a CEO is basically that to consider anything other than the bottom line is weakness, certainly to consider humanity.
They'd say stupidity.
Is stupid, right. Is weak, is something to be looked down on, to be hated or condescended to, is the way that you're treated. I mean, does this incentivize people to be basically sociopaths? And does it also attract a disproportionate number of sociopaths? Because if the idea is in order to be successful, you need to not give a shit about humanity, well, that's kind of the definition there.
Well, absolutely, because the way that you're measured as an entrepreneur and as a CEO is based on how much wealth you create. And the wealth you create is based on a multiple of whatever earnings you can project. And if you're willing to basically treat your workers like crap and treat your customers like crap and find some way that even though they all hate you, they still have to do business with you. And we all know so many businesses and industries like that, where we really hate the companies in that industry, but we still use them anyway because there's no alternative. Yeah. That's the way to create that best bottom line and the highest valuation for your company in the current environment. And so if you're focused on anything other than that, and then, of course, you have to play lip service. So what do? You lean on the social kind of divisive issues of the day, and you use those issues to basically distract people, and you virtue signal as a CEO, as a corporation, with those social issues, which are really important issues. But you kind of use them as a diversion tactic to essentially continue to take power away from the people you're claiming to support. And the best example of this, and, he's just infinitely, we have to pick on him as much as possible, is Bezos, because he goes out there and says Black Lives Matter, and then he breaks up a union in Bessemer, Alabama, just trying to allow people to have enough money to literally live, not thrive, live. And so, so that's an example of it doesn't cost him anything to go out there and make that statement. But when the rubber meets the road, you don't do it. And so the corporations and the people kind of in my world, the cool kids, as you say, they just focus on what are those issues they can focus on where it won't actually lead to any change. It'll just lead to endless discussion.
That's a great point, Dan. And, I've thought the same thing, that it's so easy for a company to throw up like a rainbow logo during Pride Month, or a CEO takes a knee and
Pride
puts a
Month,
fist
brought
up
to you
or
by
something.
Raytheon or whatever.
Exactly. Don't get me started on that. But pay your fucking workers more. LGBTQ workers need money in order to live, and black workers and minority workers need money in order to live, and we all do, right? So yes, you make a phenomenal point. It struck me that as you were talking there, CEOs view you as like a traitor to the club, which is why they're so angry. Earlier, you alluded to how you sort of regret being a workaholic for such a long time. Talk to me a little bit about that. What do you think is the ideal work-life balance? Do you have a policy for your company in terms of how much time people get off? Are you personally maybe flirting with a 4-day work week or something? Talk to me a little about that.
Oh, that is such a good question, Kyle. And it's a tough question for me because different than pay, I think I'm still evolving quite a bit more in that issue. But I mean, if I just think about it intuitively, what would be a healthy amount to work? And I know that the three of us are going to be probably three of the most hypocritical people in the world on this one, because we all work a lot. But if we just think about what would be the healthiest optimal amount to work, to me, it seems like it's probably about 30 or 35 hours a week. If I'm just thinking about just optimizing for health. And then I think economically, can we all, if we make the right investments, be productive enough in 30 to 35 hours a week to produce all the goods and services that we need? And I think the answer is with the right infrastructure, with the right public investments, with the right education system and all that, and the right kind of, working together behind it, I think we absolutely can do that. So it works both at a societal level and kind of an individual level. But my personal legacy and the legacy of my company is small businesses are getting screwed by this system, and they get no support, and the technology sucks and they're paying way too much, and we're basically gonna break our necks to try to fix that. That's kind of how the company got started. So we're coming from a good place in a way, but arguably kind of a bad place, because like we just were willing to just do whatever it took. And, you know, I literally went through stretches where, you know, I visited like 20 cities in like 25 days and, you know, crazy things like that. And I know both of you have really pushed yourselves, you know, beyond the limits as well.